Vocab word evidence. Evidence is information that supports or proves a point. That's the definition. So an example of evidence would be finding a fingerprint on something to prove that that person touched it. Organism. An organism is any living thing that can live independently. What I mean by independently is it can take care of itself as far as getting food, oxygen, all the things that an organism needs to live. For example, a one-celled paramecium is an organism because it can do everything on its own. But a cell from a human body is not an organism because that one cell cannot do everything on its own. Definition of living is obviously an organism that show the 8 characteristics of life. Dead was once living, but is no longer showing the characteristics of life, so that's different. A piece of wood, you could say, was living at some point, but it was living only as a tree, not as a piece of wood, so that would not be considered living either. Non-living are materials that have never been alive. So, for example, the piece of wood, it's still non-living. Yes, the tree was alive, but the piece of wood itself was never alive, so that would be considered a non-living thing. Dead is when the organisms that were once alive at one time but no longer are alive. That's the only time you can say something is dead, is when it was once living. Dormant, organisms that do not show characteristics of life until they're placed in the right environment. So when something is dormant, they are considered alive, but they are inactive until put in the proper environment.